Do you find yourself exhausted trying to always control every single aspect of your life because you feel like your life will just fall apart if you don't micromanage everything? But what if everything is happening exactly as it needs to, when it needs to? What if delays aren't punishment? And what if everything is all happening in perfect divine timing? Most people think that surrender means giving up or being passive or not caring about the outcome. But that's not surrender, that's resignation. Surrender is when you say, I will give my full effort to what's in my control, and I will release my attachment to how and when it happens. You actually have more power and are more capable when you surrender than you are when you are trying to control everything. How much of your life have you spent waiting to feel ready? Waiting for the right moment? Waiting for things to fall into place perfectly so that you can finally relax and enjoy life? How much of your life have you spent forcing, pushing yourself, trying to make things happen faster than they are, trying to control everything? Do you find yourself exhausted trying to always control every single aspect of your life because you feel like your life will just fall apart if you don't micromanage everything? But what if everything is happening exactly as it needs to, when it needs to? What if delays aren't punishment? And what if everything is all happening in perfect divine timing? Today I'm going to be talking about the neuroscience of why trying to control everything actually keeps you stuck, the psychology of why we struggle with timing, and the difference between surrendering and giving up. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why trusting life's timing isn't about being passive, but it's about being able to access a completely different kind of power that you have. Let's start with a really hard truth. You have way less control than you think you do. When we recognize this, we can begin to focus on what we can control, and we can gain peace over what we can't control. We can't control other people's choices, their feelings, or their reactions. We can't control the timing of opportunities, or how fast we heal and grow. We can't control other people and if they want to change or not. We can't control the economy or the weather or traffic. We can't control when love shows up in our life, how long things take to happen, or what people think about us. And if they're talking about us or not, we can't control that. But the majority of us think that we can control a lot of these things, and so we waste a lot of our life force trying to control all of these things that we have no control over. We drain our life force replaying conversations in our head, wondering what we could have done differently, or checking our phone waiting for that text or that email to come in. From a neuroscience perspective, our brains are designed to predict the future, as this was necessary for our survival. Our ancestors needed to be able to predict where food would be, and anticipate threats, and use those predictions to try to control their environment to ensure their survival. We no longer need this for our survival, but our brains did not get the memo. Our brains are constantly trying to predict and control everything in an attempt to feel safe. When we can't control something, our threat response is activated. Uncertainty and not knowing what's going to happen also activates our threat and our stress responses in our body. When this happens, we try to control harder. We plan, strategize, worry. We force, manipulate, overthink, and constantly analyze every single aspect of something, all in an attempt to reduce the anxiety and the fear that we are feeling. But the more that we try to control what we can't control, the more anxious we become. We all have this illusion of control. We believe that we have more influence over outcomes than we actually do. We think that if we try hard enough, plan well enough, worry thoroughly enough, that we can control the outcomes. But when we are living under this illusion of control, we will have chronic stress. Our body will stay in that fight, flight, or freeze mode, which means that our body is constantly being flooded with cortisol. And elevated cortisol causes tense muscles, shallow breathing, digestive and sleep problems. And if we believe that we need to control everything, we will struggle to make decisions because we are paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong one. We will miss out on opportunities because we are waiting for a specific outcome, or we're waiting for everything to be perfect. We will also struggle with our relationships because we are always trying to control everything in order to feel safe within the relationship. And when we are trying to control everything, we can't hear our intuition. We can't control outcomes, but we can influence them through our actions. We can't control if we get the job or not, but we can show up to the interview fully prepared. We can't control if our partner loves us, but we can show up authentically and vulnerably within that relationship. We can't control the timing of opportunities, but we can be ready for when they do show up. Epictetus said, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Your power is in your effort, your attitude, your integrity, your growth, and your responses to life. When you accept what you cannot control, you stop wasting energy and you start putting that same energy into what you can control. And your nervous system will be able to relax and you'll be able to enter that rest and that digest mode. Most people think that surrender means giving up or being passive or not caring about the outcome, but that's not surrender, that's resignation. Surrender is when you say, I will give my full effort to what's in my control, and I will release my attachment to how and when it happens. You actually have more power and are more capable when you surrender than you are when you are trying to control everything. And here's why. When you practice Surrendering, you shift into the parasympathetic nervous system state. You send a signal to your brain and to your nervous system that you are safe, and so your body relaxes. Your prefrontal cortex comes back online. You can now think clearly and make wise decisions. And you have your problem-solving abilities again. And you can also now access your creativity. You can access the flow state when you're in surrender. And that flow state is the state of optimal performance that athletes are in. It's being in the zone. You are so fully engaged in the present moment. You can hear your intuition again when you surrender. When you are trying to control, you are in your head, worrying, analyzing. But when you surrender, you drop into your body and your intuition lives in your body. When you surrender, you become available for opportunities and possibilities that you could never have even imagined existed in the first place. When you are attached to a specific outcome, you will miss out on so many wonderful opportunities because it doesn't look like what you were expecting to happen. It doesn't match your idea of perfection. Our conscious mind can only handle and process so much information at a time. And when you surrender, you actually open yourself up to more of life. Because when we are in that survival mode, our vision is very narrow, very focused on the next thing we need to do to survive. But when you surrender, you're open, you're relaxed. You trust that everything is working out for you. And so you can see the big picture. You open up to all of the wonderful opportunities that are already all around you. And now you're able to see them. Surrender is having the wisdom and the courage to focus your energy on what you can actually influence. Like they say in AA, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. We cause ourselves a lot more suffering when we're trying to control and change the things that we cannot change, and we can find peace when we let go of what we can't control. And so surrender is about working with life rather than against it. One of the biggest factors, at least for me, with surrendering is being able to trust life's timing. I am always so impatient. But here's what I've learned about impatience. Impatience is actually anxiety in disguise. It's your nervous system saying, I don't feel safe in this uncertainty, so I need to know now. Sometimes impatience is caused by the belief that if you don't make it happen now, that it will never happen for you. You feel like you're running out of time or that good things don't come to you naturally. And sometimes impatience is about not being able to handle the discomfort of not knowing, of being in that messy middle. So you want to skip ahead to the end. I used to do this all the time with books. I would skip to the end to reassure myself that what I wanted to happen was going to happen. And only then would I be able to go back and read the book, but I was robbing myself of the journey, of the ups and the downs throughout the book. A lot less fun when we know what's going to happen. But I couldn't handle the not knowing. The anxiety was too great for me with reading a book, so imagine how I've been my whole life. I still struggle with learning to trust, but I'm learning, and it's getting easier and easier the more that I prove to myself that everything has worked out perfectly for me. I had a relationship end a year ago. At the time, I thought this man was the love of my life. I was so heartbroken when our relationship ended. I was completely devastated. All of my relationships up until this relationship have been very toxic and unhealthy and abusive. And this relationship was very beautiful. This man was very calm and peaceful and very sweet and loving. And so I was like, why would the universe finally give me something so beautiful only to take it away from me? Why must I go through this pain? Our relationship ended because we weren't 100% compatible. I wasn't really fulfilled in the relationship. And so I was putting a lot of pressure on my partner to be someone that he wasn't. But in that moment, all I could see was my heartbreak. I couldn't see all of the ways that we weren't compatible. And now I'm able to look back on our relationship and see that I was settling. I was ignoring my needs and my desires to stay in this relationship because I didn't think that there would be anything else better out there. There are certain things I want in a relationship, and he was not the person that would be able to provide that for me, and that's okay. That doesn't make him wrong or me wrong. We just weren't compatible. And so a year ago, I thought my life was ending, and today I see it was just the beginning. Because over Thanksgiving weekend, if him and I had still been together, I would have been out of town with his family celebrating the holidays. But because I wasn't, I was home that weekend, I volunteered, and it was at this volunteer opportunity that I met a now friend of mine, and we happened to strike up a conversation about something, which led to us actually creating a series of workshops in my community. And those workshops led to other opportunities, and each opportunity leads to the next. And if I hadn't been there volunteering that day, I wouldn't have gotten that first clue of what my path was, what the first step was that I needed to take. I am so glad that life intervened. I'm so glad that I experienced that heartbreak and that we broke up, because I would not have started living my purpose. I would not be here today making this video if him and I were still together. I have also grown a whole lot this year. I have gained so much wisdom, and I have learned a lot about myself. I would not have been able to experience all of this growth and this leveling up if I was still playing it small and staying safe inside this relationship. I am meant to be big and bold. I am meant to challenge myself as I keep stepping into the next level of who I can be in this lifetime. I trust and know that the ending of my book is going to be so much more beautiful than I can even imagine from my limited perspective. I know that everything is going to work out perfectly for me, and so I can relax and enjoy the journey as each chapter of my story unfolds without needing to skip ahead and see what happens and rob myself of the journey, the experience, the ups and the downs of life. I trust that life has my back and knows what it's doing, and I know that a relationship that is even greater than I can even imagine, filled with so much more love than I've ever experienced, is on its way to me right now, and I'm so excited to meet my future partner. So when I notice myself getting impatient now, trying to force or control timing, I just remind myself that my nervous system just doesn't like uncertainty, and I tell myself that I'm safe and that it's okay to not know because life knows what it's doing. We think that if we don't force things or work hard, that things won't happen. So we form beliefs like I need to work hard to achieve this. Things don't come easily for me, so I need to struggle and work hard. Otherwise, I won't ever get it. Did you know that your ability to trust in life's timing is actually related to your attachment style? If you had secure attachment modeled for you as a child, you grew up learning that the world was safe and that everything worked out perfectly for you. If you had insecure or anxious attachment, you learned that the world was not safe and that you needed to control everything in order to feel safe. Secure attachment says, I don't know when this will happen, but I trust it will happen when it's meant to. And I'll keep doing what I can in the meantime, and I'll release my attachment to the outcome. Anxious attachment says, it needs to happen right now, otherwise it's never going to happen, and I need constant reassurance, and I need to control everything. Avoidant attachment says, I don't want or need anything, so I'll pretend like I don't care about anything. But it's not true. You do care. A lot more than you think. Another thing that makes it really hard to trust in life's timing is when we are comparing our journey to somebody else's journey. So now we're not only anxious about our own timing, but now we're worrying about what somebody else is up to, and we're comparing our chapter 3 to their chapter 20. And so we see them getting the promotion, the job, the house, the relationship that we want. They're living the life that we want, and we're left wondering, why them? Why not me? What am I doing wrong? Why doesn't life love me enough like it seems to love them? But you don't know what they've been through to get there. You don't see what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know if they even like the life that they're living. Maybe they want your life. Maybe they're comparing themselves to you and are jealous of you. You're comparing your internal experience to their external image. And I talked about this in a previous episode. We compare our everyday reality to their highlight reels. And when we're stuck in comparison, we're not present in our own life. When we're worrying about somebody else's life, we don't have the energy to actually make the changes in our life that we're needing to make. Theodore Roosevelt said that comparison is the thief of joy. When you're comparing, you're essentially saying, life's timing is working for them, but I just don't trust that it's going to work for me. And so you lose faith and trust in your own journey, your own path. And when you lose faith and trust, you're causing a lot more suffering for yourself and you're wasting a lot of energy. Effort is doing your part and trusting the process and working with life's natural timing. Force is trying to control the process and the outcomes, and you're fighting against life's natural timing. Every cell in our body operates on a natural rhythm, just like everything else in nature. We are nature. So when we learn to trust that timing instead of trying to force our own, we're not just surrendering to fate. We're aligning with the same intelligence that runs the entire universe. Everything happens at the right time. The intelligence that controls the tides and the seasons lives inside of us. And its beauty and its power and its perfection is far beyond what our limited human perspective can even imagine. From our perspective, delays look like problems. Closed doors look like rejection. Waiting feels like wasted time. But what if the delays were protection? What if closed doors were redirection? What if the waiting was preparation? Philosopher Soren Kierkegaard said that life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward. We have all experienced this. We look back at something that at the time crushed us, and now from a different perspective, we're able to see how it was just what we needed. And we're so glad that it happened because it wouldn't have led to where we are today. What if during your biggest heartbreak that nearly destroyed you, the universe was whispering, not this, something better? And looking back now, you see that that heartbreak led to the love of your life, and now you're in this most amazing relationship, full of so much beautiful love, and you can't imagine being with anybody else. What if every closed door wasn't rejection, but was redirection? That job that you didn't get, that devastated you, would have taken you down a completely different path, and now you wouldn't be working at this amazing job that you love. The perfect house that you were wanting to buy fell through, and now you live in a completely different house in a whole different neighborhood, but you love your neighbors so much and you can't imagine living anywhere else. So what if this moment, this challenge, or this setback is just preparation for some future moment where everything lines up perfectly for you? What if you're being held back now for something so great that you can't even imagine it yet? This moment is perfect as it is here and now. This is my second time recording this video, and the first time I got done And I had checked my audio before to make sure my microphone was working, and it was working. And so I went ahead and recorded my episode. And it takes me about an hour or so to record, and I got done and no sound. I was so upset and so devastated. And at first I was like, I just wasted an hour. Oh my gosh. And then I was like, I got to practice for an hour. And I'm redoing this video, and already I can tell it's so much better. I've shared things in a different way, and it feels better the way that I'm sharing it. And so this video is actually better than the original one that I recorded. And so that challenge is actually going to benefit me, because now this video is even better. So how can we actually practice trusting life's timing and unfolding? How can we practice surrendering? The first thing that we can do is practice asking, is this in my control? If yes, take action. If no, practice acceptance. Because remember, you're going to get that peace when you accept what you can't control. The second thing you can do is to give your full effort to what you can control and then release your attachment to the outcome. The third thing that you can do is to reflect on and journal about all of the ways that life has already worked out perfectly for you. Write down all of the times that in the moment you felt so heartbroken, you felt like it was the worst thing that had happened to you. And now looking back, you realize how beautiful and perfect that moment was, and you were so glad that it happened exactly as it did. When you're able to reflect on and provide that evidence for your brain will begin to relax and learn to trust life, because you will be able to see the actual evidence that everything has always worked out perfectly for you. And therefore, if it already has always worked out perfectly for me, why won't it continue to be so? Our brain needs that evidence to create that feedback loop. The fourth thing that you can do is trust the seeds that you have planted. Trust that life is supporting you and that everything is unfolding perfectly, even when you can't see it in the moment. The fifth thing that you can do is surrender and let go of the things that you were trying to force or control. And the last thing that you can do is zoom out. When you're stuck in why isn't this happening yet, remember that you aren't seeing the whole picture from where you are. Trust that if you could see this present moment a few years from now, everything will have made perfect sense. Trusting life's timing doesn't mean that you don't have goals or desires, and it doesn't mean that you sit around passively. It means you give your full effort to what you can control, and you release your attachment to the outcomes and how and when they show up. You stop trying to force things, and you realize that you are a part of something that is far greater and so much bigger and more intelligent than our limited human perspectives can even fathom. A whole lot of life had to happen to get you here to this moment. 13.8 billion years of moments your grandparents had to meet in order for your parents to meet. 1,000 tiny choices and actions led to this moment in time where you're here today watching this video or listening to this podcast. We aren't in control like we think we are. Everything has an effect on something else. But look at how perfectly everything has unfolded. And I know that there's a lot of chaos that is unfolding in our reality, and it can be hard to trust sometimes that it is all working out for our good. But sometimes things need to crumble and fall so they can be rebuilt. My life was in chaos. I burnt my life to the ground. And like I said, I'll be sharing more about my story. I was in the rock bottom pits of despair. I didn't have any hope, but I found my hope, and I was able to rebuild my life so much more beautiful than I could have even imagined at that moment in time. And so like I said, sometimes things need to crumble so they can be rebuilt. And so just trusting that everything is happening exactly as it needs to happen. When we stop trying to control everything, we actually become more powerful. We can respond better, we can adapt, we have greater resilience. We can flow with life, and we trust ourselves to be able to handle whatever life brings to us. And we start using our energy to create and to have fun. Imagine waking up without that familiar knot in your stomach. Imagine making decisions from peace and confidence rather than fear. Imagine actually enjoying the journey instead of panicking and worrying about every bump in the road. So your challenge for this week is to write down one thing that you have been trying to control or force an outcome in your life. Write down, what can I control about this situation? And then write down what you can't control on the other side. Ask yourself, what outcome am I attached to and why? And how can I practice surrendering this situation? I trust that the seeds that I am planting now with making this video will grow. All of the articles that I write, all of the posts that I make, it doesn't get a lot of traction right now where I'm at in my moment in time. But I'm trusting and I know that it will have an impact in the future. You might be watching this video 5 years from now, and I trust that this message got to you at the time that you needed to hear it. And so all of these seeds that I'm planting now will gain momentum and will keep growing. And I talk more about this in my episode titled Why I'm Failing in Public and Why It's Changing My Life, and you can find that in the episode show notes. But I talk about how we take steps and the momentum builds. And so all of the steps that you're taking are planting seeds, and they are going to grow. Everything unfolds exactly as it needs to, when it needs to. So take a deep breath. You're exactly where you need to be right now. Thank you for choosing to be here with me today. If you haven't already, make sure to like, subscribe, or follow, and make sure your notifications are turned on. I would love to hear, what is one thing, drop it in the comments below, that you are wanting to let go of? What is one thing that you're trying to control in your life? And we can help hold each other accountable to surrendering and releasing our attachments to the outcomes. I also want to mention that I have a free mindset shift guide. You can find that in the show notes. And I also have an 80+ page guidebook that breaks down all of the neuroscience of going from being a victim to being a creator. It's full of so much science and information, and it's packed with visuals to help you be able to see and fully integrate what you're learning. And each section has journaling prompts, and all of these prompts are designed to help you have awareness and to empower you to go from being a victim to being a creator. And you can find the link for that in the episode show notes. So thank you again for being here today. And I'm hoping that the audio worked on this video. I'm gonna check it here in just a few seconds, and I'm hoping that it worked. But thank you again for being here. I will see you in next week's episode, where I will be talking about the neuroscience of hope and why it's necessary for us to rewire our brains and create our future. Because like I said, when I was in the pits of despair, I found that little bit of hope, and here I am today, and my life is completely different. I will see you in next week's episode. Bye for now.